Someone poisoned the principal's tea. There are 3 suspects: a siren, a werewolf, and a witch. The witch claims it wasn't her. The werewolf is sure it was the siren. And the siren says the witch is lying. Only one of them is telling the truth. So help Wednesday Addams solve this mystery. The werewolf is the only one telling the truth here. Otherwise, we've got contradictions on our hands. It means the siren is guilty. In the hallway, there were only 3 black candles, 1 fully burned, 1 half burned, 1 untouched. Thing tapped the half-burned one first. Xavier walked by after the lit candle was placed. And Enid said she'd left before the candles had been lit. If all 3 of them are telling the truth, who was in the hallway last? It was Xavier, as simple as that. Wednesday is sketching at the cemetery. She sees 13 gravestones. Every second gravestone leans left, every third leans right, and every fourth is cracked. Which is the first gravestone that is left, right, and cracked at the same time? It's the 12th gravestone. During a seance, 3 candles flickered. Wednesday noticed that the first one flickered once, the second candle flickered twice, and the third flickered, you guessed it, 3 times. Then the pattern repeated. At the 7th flicker, which candle was it? It was the first candle because the sequence cycles every 6 flickers. So at the 7th flicker, we'd be back to candle 1. Look at these pumpkins, all ready to serve as Halloween decorations. Sadly, one of them is an imposter. It's not a real pumpkin, but a plastic one. Your task is to figure out which one it is. It's the pumpkin on the left. Have you spotted that price tag hanging from its stem? No one attaches price tags to real pumpkins this way. Hey, we've got more pumpkins. This time, they are all real, but 2 of them are poisoned by a vicious witch. Look at them attentively and pick the safe pumpkin for your home. The pumpkin on the left looks weird. See that bluish spot? A puddle of green slime is under the pumpkin in the middle. So, the safest choice is the pumpkin on the right. One day, a pale woman with a bite on her neck approached Detective Dartson. When she'd been returning home the evening before, someone had attacked her and turned her into a vampire. The detective found 3 suspects. Look at them and find the one who turned the woman into a vampire. This man is quite old and has no teeth, so he can't be a vampire. This woman has tan marks, but vampires can't sunbathe. So it must have been this man in a hat and gloves. In a haunted mansion, 3 doors lead to 3 rooms, 1 full of cobwebs, 1 full of spiders, and 1 empty. The butler says that the cobwebs are not behind door 1. The maid says that the spiders are not behind door 3. And the gardener claims that door 2 leads to the room with the spiders. Only one statement is true. Which door leads to the empty room? The butler is the only one who says the truth. The first door leads to the room which is empty. Now, Look at this granny. Her house is on fire. But why won't this firefighter help her? Can you figure it out? See those pumpkins and Halloween decorations? This guy isn't a real firefighter. He's just wearing a Halloween costume. The woman needs to call real firefighters and fast. Mike's wife was decorating their house for Halloween. She sent her husband a message, asking him to buy something with a leg, an arm, and a head, but without flesh or eyeballs. At first, the man was confused, but soon he realized what his wife wanted. Have you figured it out too? Mike's wife needed a skeleton. The next day, Mike got a new message from his wife. This time, he needed to get something wrapped, but not a gift. It had to be something kept neatly in a chamber, which archaeologists consider a great treasure. What did Mike have to bring home? His wife wanted a mummy to decorate the house. When Melissa was walking home after work, it was already dark. She noticed a group of people moving in a strange, jerky way. Melissa realized they were zombies. A moment later, she was surrounded. And still, the next day, Melissa was in the kitchen making herself a vegetable salad. How is it possible? Look at the calendar. It's November 1st. It was Halloween the day before. And zombies were just some dressed-up guys. Look at this family very closely. Detective Marlin was invited to their house to figure out which member was possessed by a ghost. Soon, he found the answer. How about you? This woman looks scared, but she's not possessed. She just choked on some food and is holding her throat. The man's wearing dark glasses indoors, but he's blind. Do you see that white cane the blind used next to him? The granny is the possessed one. There's a trace of ectoplasm that goes through the whole room towards her. Martin, Lucas, and Lauren went to the movies. The movie theater was empty. The friends were only visitors. In the middle of the movie, Lucas suddenly screamed. Can you figure out what scared him? There are more shadows on the screen than people in the theater. A store owner called Detective Max, claiming there was a vampire in his store. When the detective arrived, he didn't find the store owner, but there were 3 other people inside. Which one is a vampire? The one on the left has red eyes, but it looks like he didn't sleep well at night. The one in the middle seems to feel cold. All parts of his body are covered with clothes. Now, the person on the right is drinking something red from a glass using a straw. Is that what I think it is? 2 husbands suspected that their wives were werewolves. They invited Detective Max to find out the truth. The detective examined the women's bedrooms and realized that only one of them was a monster. Which one? This bedroom has a scary atmosphere, all dark, with posters of rock bands on the walls. The second one is pink and very feminine. But have you noticed scratch marks on the floor in the bed? The woman who lives there is a werewolf. Hey, look at these people dancing at a costume party carefully. You need to figure out who is a werewolf. It's that guy in the corner. He's wearing a human mask, but his thick hair is sticking out from underneath his mask. On a full moon, several people disappeared in the city. The culprit must have been a werewolf. The police had 3 suspects: Jack, Levi, and Luke. Jack said he had been walking with his girlfriend near the river. Levi had been choosing a silver ring in the mall. And Luke, who worked as a museum guard, had a night shift at work. Which guy is guilty? Jack didn't transform in the light of the full moon. Levi wasn't afraid to try on silver rings. It means that the werewolf is most likely Luke. These girls look totally normal, just friends hanging out in a park. But one of them is actually a witch. Which one is it? It's the girl on the right. Look, she's levitating. A man called Detective Max and claimed that his neighbor was a witch who was trying to curse him. The detective visited the woman in question. To prove her innocence and refute the accusations, she invited the man into her house. In no time, Detective Max knew who was telling the truth. Have you figured it out too? The neighbor is right. The woman is indeed a witch. She's got a dark magic book lying on her table. A tourist got lost and found 3 houses. In the first one, the light is on, but the windows are boarded up from the inside. In the second one, the doors are wide open and a radio is playing inside. In the third house, everything is covered in dust, but there's a warm cup of tea on the table. Which house is the safest to enter? It's the third one. The tea is still warm, which means the owner has just stepped out. Mr. Johnson keeps his socks in a dresser drawer. He always buys them in only 3 colors: brown, blue, and green, and stores them all together. Mr. Johnson has an important meeting. He pulls the socks out of the drawer one by one without looking. What is the minimum number of socks he must take out to be sure he has a matching pair of the same color? Four socks are enough because the first 3 might be all different colors. 3 people are sitting at a table: a doctor, the son of the doctor's father, and the father of the doctor's son. How are these people related? Well, we have the doctor, her brother, and her husband here. The doctor is a woman. The son of the doctor's father is her brother, and the father of the doctor's son is her husband. An archaeologist went down into an underground passage with 3 corridors. He can smell food from the first corridor, but the cobweb at the entrance was untouched. There's light coming from the second corridor, but there were many old torches with no traces of soot. The third passage was completely dark, but the floor was covered in fresh, muddy footprints. Which corridor did he choose to find people? The third one. The footprints are the most reliable sign. Jamie was offered a pay of $20 for every working day and a deduction of $30 for each non-working day. After 60 days, he got nothing. How many days did he work? If Jamie had worked every day, he would have made $1,200. For each non-working day, he lost $50. Since after 60 days, the worker earned nothing, he lost $1,200. Divided by 50, and we get 24 non-working days. So the number of working days was 36. A famous detective stared at a strange note. It was partly written in Asian characters, partly in numbers, and partly in the English alphabet. Can you read it? It's simple. When you remove all the foreign symbols and numbers, you get I love Brightside. Aww. Three friends boast to each other. One says that she has a loving husband and kids. Another claims she has a brilliant career, a rich husband, and children. The third one says she has all the same, but one of them is lying. In reality, she is a single mother. Who is it? It's the first girl. Her tattoo has two matching symbols, a big and a small butterfly, a subtle hint at mother and child. Lizzie decided to start a culinary vlog to make some extra cash. She filmed the first video about cooking with homemade pasta. She posted it and got a bunch of angry comments saying that she is a liar. Why did her viewers decide so? There are 3 empty instant noodle containers sitting on the counter. Obviously, that pasta wasn't homemade. Sam and Sarah are competing for the scholarship of their dreams from the Astronomy Society. The final presentation will decide who wins. After looking at the presentations of both contestants, the jury chose Sarah and told Sam to get more serious if he wants to achieve something. Why did they say so? Well, in his presentation, Saturn is where the Sun should be, and Mars switched places with our Earth. Airport security receives an anonymous phone call. An infamous criminal is about to try to leave the country with the diamonds and emeralds she stole. The security easily identified the criminal after scanning her luggage. What's suspicious here? This shoe is clearly larger than all the others, and it doesn't have a pair, so she's probably hiding something inside it. Jackson was going home from a night shift and decided to have breakfast at a roadside diner. There was just one more visitor inside and a waitress who seemed a bit weird. Jackson ordered a full breakfast for $20, but when it was time to pay, the waitress brought him a bill that said $505. He paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The waitress typed that number because it looks like SOS. Something is really wrong there. A farmer once challenged an engineer, a physicist, and a mathematician to fence off the largest amount of area using the least amount of fence. The engineer shaped his fence like a large circle. The physicist made a long line and said that fencing off half the Earth was the best. The mathematician laughed at them and showed his design, which beat the others. What did he do? The mathematician made a small circular fence around himself and declared himself to be on the outside. Ooh, smart. Nancy stayed late at work and got locked up in the office. To get out, she must guess the 3-digit code to the door. There's a calendar next to it, and it has the letters WMF at the bottom. Can you help her figure out the code? It's 3:15. The letters stand for the days of the week, Wednesday, Monday, and Friday, and the code is their numbers. Now Steve is going on a blind date with a friend of a friend. All he knows is that she'll be wearing a polka dot skirt. When he arrives at the restaurant, he sees 3 girls in polka dot skirts. So, who is the one? There are 3 empty plates and 2 glasses on the first table, so the girl isn't alone. The second girl has almost finished her coffee and is working on her laptop, so it must be the third girl, patiently waiting for Steve. A frog falls to the bottom of a 30-foot well. Each morning, the frog climbs 3 feet up, but each night it slips 2 feet down during sleep. So, at the beginning of the first day, the frog has 30 feet to go. At the beginning of the second day, it has 29 feet to go, and so on. How many days does the frog need to escape from the well? At the beginning of the 28th day, the frog will climb the last 3 feet and escape. Reddit. All right, your brain must be boiling by now. Let's give it a little break. Try to find the hidden animals in these pictures. Here's the first one. Did you notice this bird right here? Now on to the second picture. Yep, it's a butterfly right here. Now, the trickiest of them all. There's a chameleon hiding in this forest. Can you spot it? Well done! So, do you have the sharpest eye and a huge love for puzzles? Well then, I've got a real treat for your brain. Some fresh, crispy riddles to satisfy your intellectual hunger and test your attention to detail. 3 friends go on a summer trip around Europe together. They meet 3 girls and tell them about themselves. Steve says he has a business empire back in the US. John claims he's just inherited several million bucks. Jake mentions he is a successful athlete, but only one of them is actually rich. Can you figure out who? Well, it's tricky to tell, but looks like Jake is the one who's really well off. He has a watch made of gold, and it looks pretty legit. There are 2 customers inside a jewelry store when the light goes off for a second, whoops, and the most massive golden necklace disappears. Can you guess who stole it? It was the girl holding the flowers. Look, the necklace is hiding inside her bouquet. Adam is about to go out and celebrate his birthday, when suddenly he slips on a banana peel, no really, and loses his memory. 3 girls show up at his house and claim to be his wife. He must be a really popular man. But of course, only one girl really is his wife. Can you figure out which one? Although she looks pretty hostile and didn't bring a gift, the girl number 2 is his wife. Adam and she have the same wedding rings. Nancy and Liza are sitting on the same beach in the park. They are around the same age, but live very different lives. One of them is loaded, and another one has other priorities. So, who looks rich here? Nancy must have spent a lot of money on plastic surgeries to look like this. And that designer bag casually standing behind her also costs a fortune. Mr. Potter hired 3 new security guards for his company. He came to meet them in person as they would be responsible for his expensive equipment. At that moment, he realized there was one imposter among them. Can you point him out? It's the guy in the middle. He looks just like the others, except the word security is misspelled on his uniform. 3 girls are getting ready for a night out. They're doing their makeup and chatting, but one of them is actually hiding a secret. She might feel like a woman, but she's physically a man. Do you see who it is? The first person is a man who's hiding their Adam's apple behind the scarf. Rita went to the countryside to enjoy some peace and quiet. She was watching 7 beautiful birds sitting on a fence when suddenly she heard a loud bang out of nowhere. Someone was shooting at the birds. How many of them are left on the fence now? Zero. Luckily, they all flew away when they heard the noise. 2 sisters are hitchhiking in Italy. No one wanted to pick them up for a while, but a truck finally stopped and the driver promised to take them to Rome in no time. The sisters are happy at first. But then, one of them notices something on the road and tells her sister they need to get out of that truck. What did they see? The road sign said Rome was 100 kilometers away when they got in the truck. The next sign they noticed said it was 212 kilometers away, so they're going in the opposite direction from it. Someone stole an important document from Piper's desk. She interrogates 3 of her colleagues who could have done it. Nash says, "I spent the whole morning preparing the monthly report and didn't even stand up once." Emma says, "I walked past your desk, but only to get some cappuccino from your machine." Ben claims he just arrived and didn't even know about any important papers. Who's lying here? Emma. There's a coffee maker behind Piper's desk, but it doesn't make cappuccino. A famous singer is on vacation at a luxurious resort. There, she meets a handsome guy who is flirting with her. She feels relaxed and tells him many of her secrets. Suddenly, her bodyguard approaches the singer and tells her she shouldn't trust the guy. Why? It's sweet that the guy has a teddy bear with him, but those red lights inside the bear's eyes are hidden cameras. The guy was filming the entire conversation, and who knows what he can use it for. Someone robbed the designer watch section at a busy mall. The criminal couldn't make it out of the mall because they noticed security looking for them. They ran into a fancy dress boutique. Can you find the criminal here? Well, even if the person in the middle has really big feet, they wouldn't try on a fancy dress with dirty sneakers. The criminal must be there. Someone kidnapped 3 women in one town, one by one. All the girls say they don't remember anything, but in the morning, the criminal would drop them off at the same place, seemingly unharmed, but their hair got a bit shorter. When the criminal grabs the 4th girl, the police follow them and break into their house. There they instantly understand why he needed the girls. Do you see it? Looks like this guy has a collection of miniature dolls, and he needed the girls' hair to make the dolls more realistic. Come on, really? Sarah has saved up enough money to open her own hair studio. She wants to buy an office in a new building for it. She has 2 final options. One is smaller and less chic, but it's ready. The other is way larger and looks more expensive, but she'd have to wait a bit. Which one should she choose? Well, Sarah must have a lot of patience if she chooses the second option. It says, approximate completion date 2055. Well, she had better bring a big lunch. Miranda went to an innovation conference and met 3 cool guys there. They were all charming, but something felt wrong about one of them. Miranda figured out it was not a real person, but a robot from the conference. How did she guess? That guy is charging his phone through a cable connected to his leg. Humans don't have that superpower yet, although I wouldn't mind testing it. James is a little obsessed with the idea of becoming the richest person in the world. One day, he meets an old woman who claims she has magical powers and can make any wish come true. But he has to wish for someone else, not for himself. Still, James managed to trick the old lady and have things his way. What did he wish for? He wished for his parents to have the richest son in the world. Clever. Leslie was window shopping when she saw her husband Nick inside one of the clothing stores. She got confused because he was supposed to be at work, so she went inside to confront him. Nick said he was picking up an outfit for his company's end-of-the-year party. But Leslie didn't believe him and understood he was cheating on her. How did she know? Leslie could see a woman hiding behind the curtains in the fitting room, and Nick had a lipstick stain on his shirt. There were 3 thefts at a local supermarket, one in January, one in April, and one in June. The security camera recorded footage of all 3 situations. A private detective looked through that footage and immediately figured out who the criminal was. Can you? In all 3 videos, there is a pregnant lady, and her belly looks exactly the same size in January, April, and June. That's physically impossible, and it means that she was the thief. She must have been faking the pregnancy all along. So, did you manage to solve all the riddles, or did they manage to trick you instead? Tell me in the comments below.
Ryan opened his own private detective firm, but he needs your help with his toughest cases. The detective gets a call from a coffee shop. The customers are acting strangely, so the owner suspects a bitter employee might have poisoned them. But after analyzing the customers, Ryan believes it's just a false alarm. Why? This old man looks like he fainted, but his coffee cup is still full, so he's fine. Same with the student. And the woman? Her drink is empty, so if it had been poisoned, she would have collapsed already. The coffee shop owner feels relieved, but before Ryan leaves, he gives the detective one last challenge. He hands him this riddle. 12 apples hanging high. 12 men passing by. Each took an apple and left 11 hanging there. How can this be? Can you solve it? Well, each is actually a man's name. Now it makes sense, right? Ryan was walking when he heard a teen screaming. She was trapped in a fire. He immediately dropped his wallet, hat, and watch on the ground, then rushed inside to help her. When he came back, he knew someone had touched his things. But how did he know? Do you remember how he left his stuff? His wallet was on the left side, not on the right. Someone must have moved it. And he was right. He opened the wallet and saw that his money was gone. But there was a strange note inside with an enigma. I stay in the corner but travel around the world. What am I? Do you know the answer? Time's up. And the answer is a stamp. Right after, Ryan found 8 different stamps inside his wallet, and one of them reminded him of the place where he spent his honeymoon. He even remembered that he had to learn some basic Spanish words to go there. So, can you guess which stamp he's looking at? Correct, it's this one. This stamp is from Mexico, the only Spanish-speaking country here. Back at the office, a worried mom comes in with her twin daughters. They look exactly alike, but the mother is sure that one of them isn't really her kid. Can you spot which one? It's the second girl. Look closely. She has 3 hands. She must be an extraterrestrial. The creatures then promise that her real daughter is safe, and it shows a letter that supposedly came from her. It says, "I'm with Robgin." The mother looks closely and confirms it's her daughter's handwriting, but has no idea what it means. Can you figure it out? Robgin isn't a name at all. It's a secret code. Read it backwards, and you get neighbor. So the girl is just next door. Noah is quite sure that his wife is cheating on him, so he asks Ryan for help. Noah explains that he was away for a whole week, and he suspects his wife went on a secret date during that time. Ryan goes to their house, and Mary says, "That's a lie, I didn't leave home, not even once." They check the security cameras, and now Ryan is certain she is cheating. But how? Mary told the truth. She didn't leave, but her lover came over. Look at camera 3. You can see one of his legs sticking out of the door. Suddenly, the lover storms into the house, grabs Mary, and drags her away. Then he sets the place on fire. Now Noah and Ryan are trapped. The flames are spreading fast and they need to escape. They spot 3 things that could help: a vase, a key ring, and a bucket of water. But which one should they choose? Let's see. There are too many keys here, and they don't have time to test them all. That's barely any water, and the fire is already out of control. So they must pick the vase, because it's heavy enough to smash the window and get out. The lover agrees to turn himself in, but there's a catch. Ryan has to figure out which of the 4 houses he's hiding in. The clue says, "I'm an odd number. Take away 1 letter, and I become even. What number am I?" The answer is 7. That means the lover must be in the last house. Busted! Ryan then gets a call from Mr. Johnson, who's in a panic. He says, "My basement is completely flooded. Help!" Ryan rushes to the scene. The floor is covered in water, and everything looks soaked. But something feels off. He suspects Mr. Johnson is lying to get insurance money. How did Ryan know? Look at the pipes on the ceiling. There's no water coming from them and no sign of leaks. The only explanation is that Mr. Johnson poured the water there himself. A doctor calls Ryan for help. A patient needs an emergency blood transfusion and there's no time for tests. Suddenly, a woman rushes in and says, "He's my husband. His blood type is O negative. Please hurry." But the doctor suspects she's lying. Why? She says the patient is her husband, but take a closer look at the nails. They're painted. That means the patient is a woman, not the husband. So, what else might she be lying about? Just then, Ryan hears screams from the hospital cafeteria. A man suddenly collapses into his food. Someone clearly tried to poison him, and there are two main suspects nearby. So, who did it? It looks like the woman did it. There's a strange red liquid on her plate, and it seems dangerous. In the surgery room, a doctor is getting ready to perform a high-risk operation. He picks up the tools, turns to the nurse, and says, "Scalpel, please." At that moment, Ryan bursts through the door and yells for them to stop immediately. But why? Look closely at this guy. His stethoscope is on backwards. He's not a real doctor. Ryan's newest client received a mysterious gift. But first, she wants to know who sent it. Clara isn't sure if it came from her boyfriend Bob, her brother Leo, or her father Daniel. Can you figure it out? It was from her brother. Look closely. The package has a bunch of 7s written on it, but they're actually upside down. They form the letter L, which stands for Leo. Before Clara opens the gift, she notices a clue about what's inside. The note says, "If you drop me, I'm sure to crack. Give me a smile and I'll always smile back." Do you know what it is? Time's up. It's a mirror. Next, Ryan heads to a crime scene. A rich man is lying dead on the floor. He questions the butler, who says, "I was outside on the street when it happened. It was raining and his clothes were soaking wet, but when the police arrived, they arrested him immediately." Why? Because his clothes were wet, but his umbrella was completely dry. He probably faked the alibi. Ryan visits a museum. In one of the rooms, he spots 3 ancient pieces, but something catches his eye, and he's sure one of them is fake. Which one is it? Oh, look closely. What's a Japanese letter doing on this vase? It can't be from ancient Egypt. So this one is definitely fake. The detective is starving, so he stops to grab a hot dog. Each one costs $3. Ryan notices that the vendor makes 10 hot dogs in 5 minutes. At that rate, how much money does the vendor make in 30 minutes if he sells them all? Let's see. In 5 minutes, the vendor makes 10 hot dogs and sells them for $30. That means in 30 minutes, he makes $180. Not bad. Ryan wants to end the day with something sweet, but he wants you to guess his craving. Here's the clue. What's pink, goes in hard and dry, and comes out soft and wet? If you answered bubblegum, you got it right. So, how sharp were your detective skills today? Count how many mysteries you solved and let us know in the comments. And don't forget to challenge your friends. Let's see who's the ultimate detective. Hey riddle lovers, ready to take your brain for a marathon? Well then, let's go. 2 friends meet in the street. Ben says he's heading to house number 23. Jeremy says he's going to visit his friend who lives in house number 7. Can you tell which one is Ben and which one is Jeremy? Ben is the one wearing the cap. Look closely at the house number. It's 19. If you walk from the beginning of the street, odd number houses are on the left side. The guy in the cap is walking in the direction of large numbers, so he must be Ben. In the evening, a woman said, "My cat has disappeared." The window was closed, the door was locked. No signs, no sounds. Where did the cat go if the house was completely closed? The cat never really left. It crawled into a slightly open drawer of the dresser and fell asleep there. The woman didn't check it, but no one can trick you. A tiny tip of the cat's tail is sticking out. And while we're on the topic of pets, here's a fashion dilemma. If dogs wore pants, would they wear them like this or like this? The more accurate version would be the one on the right, on the hind legs, just like humans. That's because pants are clothing for the lower part of the body, and in dogs, that means the hind legs. The front legs are more like arms than legs. You're in your cabin. You travel exactly 100 miles south. Then you see a bear. You travel exactly 100 miles east, and the bear runs away. You travel exactly 100 miles north, returning to your cabin. What color is the bear? The bear has to be white. This riddle only makes sense if your cabin is at the North Pole. Going 100 miles south, then 100 miles east, which doesn't change your latitude much at the pole, and then 100 miles north brings you back to the original position. Three friends are taking part in a high-fashion photo shoot, and each of them has carefully picked her outfit. But one of them is hiding a secret. She's pregnant. Can you figure out who's expecting just by spotting one little detail? Must be the girl in the middle, the one wearing the pink heels with rhinestones. If you look closely, her right shoe is buckled on the last hole as if her foot has slightly swollen. Also, platform shoes offer more stability than stilettos. She must be trying to stay stylish while concealing her pregnancy. John has a small shop that sells socks. One day, he decided to attract more people and launched an advertisement. Socks for free. Many people came there, but all the customers had to pay, even though the socks were free. Why? John would only give the left sock to his customers. The socks were good and people wanted to buy the second one. Who needs only one sock after all? Kelly works as a barista. This morning she dropped a cup full of coffee. Luckily, her white shirt wasn't stained, but it took a while to clean up the mess. How come? I never told you the coffee was liquid. There were coffee beans in the cup. They ended up right under the counter. Phil Adams, who didn't really like modern art, rushed into the city gallery and caused millions of dollars worth of damage to several paintings. Yet the manager of the gallery thanked Mr. Adams for what he did to them. How come? Phil was a firefighter. The water from his hose damaged several masterpieces, but he still managed to extinguish the fire and save many more exhibits. Angie put a coin into an empty bottle and plugged it tightly with a cork. Then she told her friend she'd take out the coin without breaking the bottle or taking out the cork. And she did it. Can you guess how? Angie just pushed the cork into the bottle and then shook it to make the coin fall out. Easy peasy. Mike was about to fail his exam, but the kind professor gave him one last chance. The guy had to arrange 4 9s to make them equal 100. He could use any math symbols. How can he do it? Mike activated all of his math skills and some common sense to figure out the answer. Lena and Tina are best friends, but recently they had a huge scandal. Lena is trying everything to make Tina forgive her. She sends her a strange coded message. What did Lena try to say? She wanted to say forgive in this unusual way. Doesn't look convincing enough to me. A dangerous criminal escaped and is headed to the airport to leave the country. The security knows he'll try to use a fake ID, so they check everyone thoroughly and find 3 main suspects. Can you guess which passport is fake out of these 3? Different countries have different rules, but I'm sure no one would let their citizens use a selfie with someone else's hand on their shoulder as a passport photo. So Jin Beam must have just made this fake passport. Mr. Focus often offers other people adventurous bets. This time, he said he could throw a ball and it would come back to him every time. He also said there would be no obstacle or wall that the ball could ricochet from. Other people think it's impossible and lose the bet. So what's the deal here? Mr. Focus throws the ball straight up. It obviously comes back to him every time. Nancy is taking part in a TV quiz where she can win 1 pound of pure gold. At the end of the show, the host brings her 3 large jars. Each of them has 1 pound of pure gold inside, but also some unpleasant surprises. The first jar has venomous spiders inside, the second one is full of acid, and the third one is filled with boiling hot water. Nancy can only use her hands to get the gold out, and she has 30 minutes to finish. Can you help her? She should choose the jar with hot water. It's gonna get almost lukewarm in half an hour. Michael is trapped in a room. It's slowly filling with water that's coming from a tap in the wall. There are no windows in the room and the door is blocked. Michael has a mop and a big bucket. What can he do to survive? Well, the only thing the guy needs to do is to turn off the tap to keep the water from coming. Sally invited all her friends to her favorite restaurant to celebrate her birthday. She got her dream present, a ring with a huge diamond. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on, but Megan's ring was gone. Look at the picture to try to figure out who stole it. It was the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He put the ring inside, and now there's much more water in it. A group of students went to visit an art gallery that has paintings from famous artists from different countries. Half an hour into the excursion, an alarm went on as one of the students was trying to damage one of the paintings. Since they all have uniforms, it's impossible to tell who exactly just from the CCTV footage. 3 possible suspects all have their excuses. Ashley said, "I love the painting so much I texted my mom about it. Why would I damage it?" Dawn said, "I didn't stay long in that room as I wanted to see the ancient mammal bones." Steve said, "Professor, I was just following you." One of these students is lying, but who? Dawn is lying, as there can be no mammal bones in an art gallery with paintings. How many of these mind-twisting riddles did you manage to solve? Feel free to share in the comments below.
Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular, with short hair and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own and sometimes cried in her cell. After watching the video several times, the guard figured out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. There's a file in her bun. She can use it to get through the metal bars. Mark comes up to the table. There are 3 apples, but only one of them is safe to eat. The other 2 are poisonous. Unfortunately, Mark can't skip breakfast. So, which apple should he eat? Look, this apple has a caterpillar in it. It means there's no poison in the fruit and it's safe to eat. These 3 women, Jessica, Mary, and Olivia, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant and one is just trying to steal a watermelon. Can you tell which one is hiding a watermelon? It's Olivia. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes a pregnant woman would choose to wear. Nathan, a successful entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business, and his friend Jackson, a famous private detective, returned from a long-term trip abroad. They decided to stop by at Nathan's villa on the way to the city. When the men entered the house, though, they saw that everything more or less valuable had been taken away. The entire villa was a mess. "I've only been away for a month. What happened here?" exclaimed Nathan. Jackson took an apple from the dining room table and started to munch on it thoroughly. "The lock isn't broken. It means the person who took your stuff had the key." After a while, the detective asked Nathan to invite 3 people. Mia, Nathan's niece, told Jackson she hadn't visited her uncle's home. She had been having serious problems with her car for already 2 months. And the villa was too far away from the city to get there by public transport. Sarah, the maid, claimed that she had stopped by several weeks ago to bring some food and tidy up, but since then she hadn't been to the villa. Adam, the gardener, told the detective he had been on vacation and had just returned. He even offered to show his plane tickets to Jackson. The detective figured out immediately who was behind the mess. You have 8 seconds to figure it out. It was the maid. She said she brought food several weeks ago, but the apple Jackson grabbed from the table was perfectly fresh. Once, Ms. White heard someone crying. It was her little student, Abigail. The girl told the teacher her cookies had been disappearing from her locker. Someone had been taking them for already several weeks, but Abigail didn't know who. Ms. White decided to help the girl. They equipped the locker with a simple alarm that had to go off if someone who wasn't Abigail opened the door. They hid behind the corner and began waiting. In 10 minutes, they heard the alarm. When they reached the locker, it was already empty, and there was no one nearby. But Ms. White noticed somebody disappear behind the art room door. She rushed inside, but everything looked normal. And still, the teacher needed no more than a minute to understand who had been eating Abigail's cookies. Look at the picture of the art room carefully. Can you find out the answer within 8 seconds? It's the girl on the left. Her painting's black and white, but there are only various shades of blue on her palette. And maybe the cookie crumbs are a giveaway too. I don't know. One perfume company hires new staff. They must swear an oath of loyalty to the company if they want to get a job. 10 people are saying the words of the corporate oath simultaneously, but some of them are cheating. Help the directors figure out who these people are. This guy keeps his fingers crossed, and the man on the left is standing with his legs crossed. They won't be loyal to the company, so the director doesn't hire them. Two influential media moguls are having lunch at an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the merger of their companies. The transaction amount is several $billions. They're whispering since the terms of this deal are top secret, and they suspect that someone can hear them. And they're right. Some curious people are eavesdropping on the conversation between the two businessmen. Try to find them. The girl at the next table is reading a newspaper that is turned upside down. She's obviously trying to overhear what the billionaires are talking about. This guy over there is listening to music, but the headphone wire is not connected to anything. Another girl is sitting at the table in the corner with a cocktail, but instead of an umbrella, there's an antenna in her glass. She's recording the conversation. "Where are my employees?" a boss shouts. He's furious because 3 people haven't come to the office. He calls each of them to find out the reason. All 3 tell him they got ill. The boss doesn't believe them, so they have to arrive at the office. Mary is wearing a warm jacket, hat, and scarf. She sneezes, coughs, and looks sick. Lori is walking on crutches. Her leg is in a cast. Sometime later, Michael appears. He's got a hand injury, and now he can't type. The boss is sure that one of them is faking. Who is it? Mike's left arm is broken, but his phone is in his left pocket. He must have used his broken arm to put it there, which means he's pretending. Apparently, he just didn't want to come to work. Ice will melt if you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. What am I? I'm an egg. You buy this thing to eat, but you never eat it. What is it? It's a plate. Mia was going back home one evening. It was 11 p.m., and she had to cross a small dark park in front of her house. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind. Someone grabbed her bag and ran away. The girl called the police, and they questioned 4 suspects. Jack said, "I was choosing an outfit for a party." Camilla was getting ready for her final exam at home. Andrew told the police he had been watching birds in the park. Nora was at her yoga class. After the interview, the police understood who was behind the robbery. Can you? It was Andrew. At 11 p.m., it's too dark to see birds. James left a folder with important documents on the table in his home office and went to a business meeting. When he returned, he found out that the documents had disappeared. James had 3 suspects. His brother said, "I've been swimming in the pool since you left. I haven't seen or heard anything." The cook replied, "Tomorrow we're having a party. I've been preparing the food." The security guard told James, "I've been outside all this time, checking the garden for mice." Who knows where the documents are? It's the security guard. His job description doesn't include pest control. An accident happened at a busy crossroads in a small town. A driver who caused the crash left in a hurry. Luckily, several witnesses managed to describe the car. A police officer headed to the suspect's house. There, he saw a car that looked exactly like the one from the description, but its owner claimed that he had spent all day at home. The police officer knew the suspect was lying in no time. How? He touched the car hood. It was still hot from the engine that had worked not so long ago. You're walking along a railroad track. Suddenly, you see a speedy train approaching you. Instead of getting off the track immediately, you run toward the train. Why do you risk your life this way? When you notice the train, you're on a bridge. You can't leave the track right away and have to run to the closest place where you can do it.
Sheila participates in a beauty pageant. The next catwalk will take place in 30 minutes. Sheila leaves her stuff in the dressing room and goes outside to talk on the phone. After that, she returns and sees that someone has torn her costume. Sheila gets furious and questions her rivals. Millie says, "I was getting my makeup done, so I sat in my chair motionless, and I couldn't look around." Chelsea says, "I was in a toilet. I think I ate something wrong for lunch." And Isabella says, "I was outside the dressing room filming stories for my subscribers." Who is lying? Millie. She said she got her makeup done, but why did she ruin it by putting on a face mask? Sheila goes to the storage room to find a new dress. Suddenly, the door slams shut behind her.
Oh no!
She needs to enter an 8-letter password to open the door. Sheila needs to be on the stage in 5 minutes. Can you help her crack the code? This picture on the wall is a hint. Sheila needs to enter paradise. Sheila opens the door and meets face-to-face with creepy rats. She runs away and gets lost in the basement. Sheila finds these 3 doors leading to the stage, but each door is hiding some danger. There are broken wires and a puddle of water on the floor behind the first door. There's a scorpion behind the second door waiting to bite Sheila. And there's a magical portal leading to the top of a mountain behind the third door. Can you help Sheila make the right choice? She should choose the first door. There's enough space. Sheila can crawl underneath the wires. Sheila enters the stage and spots 3 weird details in the auditorium. Can you see them too? Take a closer look at this lady. She's holding a book upside down. This musician is playing the violin without any strings. Also, there's a panda among the viewers. Sheila becomes a beauty queen. She gets a diamond tiara and a paycheck. She goes backstage, but suddenly, all lights in the building go out for a few seconds. When the lights turn on again, Sheila sees that someone has stolen her tiara. She questions 3 rivals. Zoe says, "I don't want your cheap tiara. My dad is a billionaire." Jasmine says, "Someone pushed me in the dark and scratched my dress." Rachel says, "You must have dropped it on the floor. Look better." Who stole the tiara? Zoe. It's hidden under her diamond necklace. The next day, Sheila wakes up in a creepy castle. A wicked witch turned her into a monkey. To break the black magic, Sheila needs to use a spell. But the spell book is locked in a box. The lock requires a 6-digit code. Can you help her open the box? There are exactly 6 candles on the shelf above the box. It's a hint. Each candle has a particular number of dots, so the code is 24361. There are 4 big houses in Sheila's neighborhood. All 4 are standing in one row, and they have different colors: red, green, white, and blue. Mrs. Jones's house is somewhere to the left of the green house. The third house in the row is white. Mrs. Snake owns a red house, and Mrs. Crystal doesn't live at either end of the row. But she lives somewhere to the right of the blue house. Meanwhile, Mrs. Dillon lives in the fourth house. And the first house isn't red. Can you decide who lives where and what the color of each person's house is? From the clues, we know that the first and the third houses can't be red. Mrs. Dillon lives in the fourth house. Therefore, Mrs. Snake, who owns the red house, can only live in the second. Since Mrs. Crystal doesn't live at either end, she must live in the third house, which is white. Mrs. Jones's house is somewhere to the left of the greenhouse, which means that Mrs. Dillon lives in the fourth house. As for Mrs. Jones, she lives in the first house, and it's blue. Can you spot a fake teacher? The guy on the left isn't a real teacher, he's an actor. Take a closer look. There's a rec camera icon at the top of the screen. Two friends want to cross a river. The only way to get to the other side is by boat. But this boat can only take one person at a time. The boat cannot return on its own, and there are no ropes or any other similar tricks. Yet both guys managed to cross the river using the boat. How is that possible? The guys started on the opposite banks of the river. Josh and Bob are twins. Josh lives with his wife, and Bob lives alone. Can you guess which one is Josh? It's the first guy. He has a pair of toothbrushes in his bathroom, while Bob only has one. A time traveler is attending this party. Can you spot this person? This lady's shoes look too old-fashioned. Chuck enters a spooky building where he's supposed to have a job interview. Suddenly, someone locks the door, and now Chuck is trapped. He wanders around for a while and sees these 4 doors. He also finds a note. Only door 3 is leading to the job interview. The remaining doors will take you to the black hole. Good luck. Can you help Chuck choose the right door? No need for luck, Chuck. The symbols on the door are actually numbers. So, Chuck should enter this door. I talk to you, you talk to me. Every day, you hold me. Yet, I can't smell you. What am I? I'm your mobile phone. A gentleman and a lady are talking. The person with black hair says, I'm a gentleman. The person with blonde hair says, I'm a lady. At least one of them lied. Can you guess the hair color of each person? If only one of them lied, they would both be gentlemen or both be ladies. Therefore, they both lied. It means that the lady has black hair and the gentleman is blonde. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? There's no milk in the jug. Can you see anything odd in this picture? The image in the mirror is not reflected. Can you spot a vampire? This guy over here. Fiona is a young witch. She finds these 4 portals in a haunted castle. Fiona chooses one of the portals and enters. you can hear city noises from the first portal. You can hear sea waves from the second portal. You can hear leaves rustling from the third portal. And bells are ringing from the fourth. Which portal did Fiona enter? Fiona's dirty footprints on the floor are leading to the third portal. Don't mind the different sounds, this could just be a magic trick. Billy finds himself on the roof of a skyscraper that is about to crumble. The only way out is to use one of these 4 elevators. There's a werewolf hiding behind the first elevator. If Billy chooses the second elevator, he'll fall hundreds of feet. Super venomous snakes are crawling all over the third elevator. And mutated scorpions are waiting for Billy inside the fourth elevator. Just one bite will make him fall asleep forever. Which way should Billy choose? The first one. Take a look at the sky. The moon is not full, so the werewolf is harmless. Rachel meets 3 of her former school friends in the parking lot. All 3 want to impress Rachel, so they begin to discuss their new cars. Melanie says, "I wanted my car to be one of a kind, so I bought this one." Peter says, "Since I'm a beginner, I purchased the cheapest used car." And finally, Samantha says, "I bought a large car because I have a big family." Rachel spots a liar right away. What about you? It's Samantha. Her car key doesn't match the logo on the car. Several birds landed on trees. One bird for one tree. But in this case, one of them didn't have a tree of its own. Then they regrouped, with 2 birds sitting on one tree. After this, 1 tree was left. How many birds and trees are there? There are 4 birds and 3 trees. Look at these 4 people in a grocery store. Can you figure out who's going to steal a watermelon? It's the man with a soccer ball. It seems as if he's holding something heavy. It must be the watermelon disguised as a soccer ball. You wake up and find yourself in a locked room without windows and only one door. You look around and notice a table. There's a piece of paper, a knife, and several inflated balloons lying on it. You pick up the note. It reads, "To get out of here, you must puncture a balloon with a knife. But if the balloon bursts, you'll stay here forever." What should you do to make a hidden door open in one of the walls? You should deflate one of the balloons. After that, you can easily puncture it with a knife. You're walking along the beach and spot an expensive-looking watch in the sand. There are only 3 other people on the beach. Who does the watch belong to? This guy's watch is in his pocket. The tan line on this girl's wrist doesn't match the shape of the watch. The watch must belong to this elderly lady. You've got a sack filled with coffee beans. You need to use this coffee to completely fill 2 other sacks of the same size. How do you do it? Put one empty sack into the other and fill them with coffee. 3 young men came to a coffee shop to prepare for their final exam. A waiter came up to them and asked, "Does everyone want coffee?" The first guy said, "I don't know." The second man answered, "Nah, I don't know." And the third one answered, "Yes." Can you figure out what the first 2 guys ordered? All young men ordered coffee. Each of them wanted to have this drink, but the first two couldn't know if it would be everyone's choice. If the first two guys hadn't wanted coffee, they'd have simply said no. So when the third guy heard his friend's replies, he figured out that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was going to get a cup, he said yes. You have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 has 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it, and whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4, and the game will end there. Vincent got locked in a room with no windows and only one massive door. There's a panel with several buttons on the left and another one with a hint on it on the right. There's also a clock on the wall above the door. Which button should Vincent press to get out of the trap? The green triangle. The numbers on the panel represent hours. If you connect them on the clock face, you'll get a triangle. Add this number to the same one and multiply the result by 4. Then divide it by 8 and you'll have the very first number again. What number is it? It can be any number. You can try it out to make sure. Look at these women attentively. Which one seems to be suspicious? It's the one on the right. The woman on the left was just adding some ketchup to her dish. See that bottle? But look at the pie the woman on the right is holding. There's a smartphone peeking out of the pie. What's it doing there? It's very suspicious. The police knocked on Michael's door late in the evening. They had a search warrant. They accused the man of stealing a big sum of money from a supermarket. Mike claimed that he hadn't left the house all day, but one of the detectives saw something in his living room, and it led to the man's arrest. What was it? Look at the date on the receipt lying on the table. It's the same as the date on the calendar, which means Michael lied about not leaving his house that day. Look at these guys attentively. Can you tell which one has drawn the graffiti? It's the guy on the left. He has some spray paint on his hoodie. An ant is 2 inches away from its home. With every next step, it covers half the distance to the entrance. How many steps will the insect have to take to reach its destination? The ant will never reach the door because every time it'll travel only half the distance. Now, how about solving some rebus riddles? This is the first one for you. High, 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 high. That's high five. The next one, noon good. What's this? That's how you greet people. Good afternoon. Okay, now try this one. Way, progress. It's progress underway. Now let's check how attentive you are. Try to figure out what's wrong in the following images. There's no way anyone can wear those blue shoes. They're both left ones. How about this one? This horse looks rather natural among kangaroos, but it doesn't belong there. What's wrong in this picture? Why would a barn have a chimney? I suspect something is missing in this picture. Can you figure out what exactly? The bus doesn't have side mirrors and windshield wipers. Detective Lucas was called to investigate an accident. A car crashed into a store window and smashed the glass. There are two suspects. Both of them deny their involvement. Detective Lucas doesn't need much time to figure out who the culprit is. Do you know the answer too? It's the owner of the blue car. The pattern on its tires is the same as in front of the store. Detective Brown was having her morning coffee in a cafe when she heard a car screeching to a halt, then some loud shouting. She ran outside and spotted a man on the ground. His bicycle was lying nearby. There was also a car sitting next to the man. Detective Brown helped the cyclist up. The car driver came up to them. The cyclist exclaimed, "He hit my bike with his car, making me crash." But the driver answered, "I saw him losing control of his bike in the mirror. I left my car to check on him." Detective Brown immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? Strangely, the car doesn't have side mirrors, and all that stuff in the back seat blocks the view of the road, so the driver couldn't have seen anything in his rearview mirror either. He's lying. A man wearing a hat, a bandana covering his face, and dark sunglasses robbed a bank. The police have 3 suspects. Look at them and try to figure out which one is the criminal. Usually, people tie bandanas under their ears. But in this case, the bandana covers the robber's ears. It probably hides something that distinguishes the man from other people. The criminal must be that man with only one ear. When Louisa entered the office, she noticed that her colleague Anna was very upset. It was the beginning of the working day, but someone had already stolen her purse. Only those who worked in the company could get into the office. Louisa questioned her colleagues. Maria, who worked in IT, said she'd been fixing somebody's computer. Jane, the secretary, answered she'd been on the phone with some clients. Andrew, a sales manager, said, "I've just returned from a 3-hour-long meeting. I'm exhausted." Can you figure out who took the purse? Andrew, the working day's just started. How could he come back from such a long meeting?
Abby invited her best friend Nina to go skating in the park. Soon, they got really hungry and decided to buy some burgers. They chose similar toppings and added lots of sauces. 10 minutes later, Nina got very sick. Abby had to call 911. Paramedics took the girl to a hospital and diagnosed severe poisoning. Can you tell which sauce was poisoned? This one. Abby didn't use any garlic sauce. When Nina got better, Abby took her for a walk. They spotted the spookiest house in the neighborhood and decided to check it. That was a big mistake. When they got inside, the door behind them suddenly disappeared. Now they have 3 ways out. There's a zombie behind the first door. A creepy vampire is waiting behind the second door. And there's an angry ghost behind the third door. Which way is the safest? They should choose the third door. Ghosts may be spooky, but they can't cause any real harm. Okay, well, maybe you might get slimed, but... Nina and Abby found themselves in the next room. The door leading outside was open, and they ran toward it. But an old witch popped out of nowhere and yelled,
Not so fast. You've got to solve my riddle first. Why are these words in such an order?
Nina and Abby failed to crack this riddle. What about you? Here's the correct answer. The words rhyme with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's why they're in this order. The witch teleported Nina and Abby to her basement, but the girls didn't give up and found 3 ways out again. The room behind the first door was filled with toxic gas. It was extremely harmful to their lungs and skin. There was a 300-pound weight above the second door. It'll crush anyone or anything that steps inside. And a hungry tiger was waiting behind the third door. Abby and Nina hesitated for a while and made the right choice. Which door did they choose? Nina took off her boot and threw it on the floor in the second room. The weight crushed the boot, and the girls ran into the room and closed the door. After that, they escaped through the window. Unfortunately, they got lost in a magical forest. It was cold since it was winter. After wandering around for a while, they saw 3 roads. All of them seemed dangerous. If they picked the road leading to the left, they'd have to go past some hungry wolves. And if they went straight ahead, they'd have to go through a village where werewolves lived. And the third path went over a lake covered with thin ice that could crack at any moment. Which way should they choose? They should follow the second path. Look at the sky. It's a new moon, and werewolves are only dangerous during a full moon. Nina and Abby got home safely. But someone had burgled their apartment while they were absent. They called the police, and they questioned 3 neighbors. Jeff said, "I was away all weekend, fishing with my friends." Holly said, "I didn't leave my home. I was painting the walls in my apartment all weekend. I love bright colors, you know." And Lucy said that she'd been singing karaoke with her friends and hadn't heard anything suspicious. Who's lying? Holly. The walls in her apartment are mostly white, but she said that she painted them in some bright colors. Nina got a job in a bookstore. On her first day at work, she found a vintage watch on the floor. 3 people came over to claim it. Kevin said that he'd bought this watch when he got his first salary many years ago. Violet said that she'd inherited the watch from her grandfather. And Dylan said, "This watch is priceless. My wife gave it to me for our 5th anniversary." Can you tell who owns this watch? It's Violet. She has the narrowest wrist. That's why the girl made an extra hole. Otherwise, the watch would slip off her hand. Abby went on a date with Jerry. He invited her over. But as soon as Abby got inside his apartment, Jerry turned into an evil wizard. He decided to make fun of her and said, "I'll give you a chance to get free. Just make me breakfast tomorrow. If it's good enough, I'll let you go. And if it's bad, you'll stay here forever." The next morning, Abby came to the kitchen and began cooking. When she turned away from the stove, Jerry added a whole box of salt to the pot. But when Abby served breakfast, Jerry understood that he'd have to let Abby go. What did she cook? She cooked boiled eggs. Abby got a new job. She had to assist a railroad supervisor. One day, they faced a huge problem. A faster train was approaching a slower one. According to the schedule, the slower train had to let the faster train go first. Abby offered to use an auxiliary railway line, but it was too short for the slower train. Abby didn't know what to do, but finally, she found the solution. What did she realize? The faster train should use the auxiliary railway line. Now the slower train can move back. When the main railway line is free, the faster train can go first. Abby got a note which said that a vampire family had moved into one of the houses in the neighborhood. Abby wanted to find evidence that vampires didn't exist. She found the street she needed. There were 3 houses there. Which house looked suspicious? Look at the footprints. They're pretty weird. They lead to and from houses A and C. It means people must come and leave these houses. As for house B, the footprints only lead inside. So this must be the vampire's house. Abby told Nina about her adventures, but her friend didn't believe her. So the next night, Nina decided to go into the house on her own. Once she walked through the door, it got locked behind her back. Nina wandered around and found 3 doors. They looked the same, but the symbols on them were different. Suddenly, a creepy voice announced,
"The only way to escape safely is to exit through the 5th door."
"The only way to escape safely is to exit through the 5th door." But there were only 3 doors. Which door should Nina choose? Take a look at the symbols. They're actually numbers turned toward each other. So Nina should choose the first door. This symbol is made up of 2 5s looking at each other. This must be the 5th door the girl needs.
Sam liked Rick's skills in CV, but he wanted to test his intelligence before hiring him. That's why he gave Rick this list of ingredients and asked him to bring them from the pantry of the cafe. Unfortunately, Sam coded this list. Can you help Rick find all the products? Here's the first ingredient. I always try to catch up with my buddy Mustard. What am I? Have you guessed? It's ketchup. Here's the next one. My closest friend is peanut butter. What am I? The second ingredient is jelly. I'm a nut that is only delicious when fried or baked. What am I? Have you guessed? It's a donut. I am a bird, I am a fruit, and I am a person at the same time. What am I? A kiwi. I go along with most veggies and snacks beside me. What am I? I'm a dip. It's nothing personal. I'm a cup that doesn't hold any water. What am I? I'm talking about a cupcake here. A little pool with 2 layers of water around it. One is white and soft, and the other is dark and hard amidst a light brown grassy lawn with an outline of green grass. What's that all about? It's a coconut. It's hard to get a smooth bite, and you can chew me for a long time if I'm too dry. What am I? And the correct answer is jerky. I'm a green veggie that looks like a tiny tree. What am I? Can you guess? I'm broccoli. A time when they're green, a time when they're brown. But both of these times cause me to frown. But just in between, for a very short while, they're perfect in yellow and cause me to smile. What are they? Well, I'm sure you've guessed it's all about grapes. People confuse me with a vegetable, but I'm actually a fruit. I'm red when I'm ripe, and I'm sliced and served on burgers. What am I? A tomato or tomato. I'm the type of room you cannot enter or leave. I raise from the ground below. I can be poisonous or a delicious treat. What am I? Can you guess? All of this is about a mushroom. You throw away my outside and you cook my inside. Then you eat me from the outside and throw away what's inside. What am I? The correct answer is corn. I'm the kind of food that mummies like to eat. What am I? It's a wrap. Oh, really? Time for the final ingredient. I wear a red coat and have a stone inside my throat. Who am I? I'm a cherry. Hey, great job. Rick has brought all the ingredients. Sam hired him right away and asked him to take orders. Rick saw 3 customers in the cafe, but only one of them was a real human. Can you spot who exactly it was? This woman has gills just like a fish. She's a mermaid. And this guy's wearing trousers instead of a shirt, and he's trying to pay with shells. It's pretty clear he's not from this planet. Someone had stolen a tip box from Sam's cafe. The police arrived almost at once. Rick said that he could only see the back of the robber. He knew it was a woman. The next day, another robbery took place, but this time the guard managed to block the exit. The police arrived in a minute. They saw 4 women in the cafe. Can you tell who the thief was? It was Pam. She's the only one whose shoes are good enough for running. The police nearly arrested Pam, but she managed to escape. Rick ran after her and noticed she snuck into a school. Rick followed her. He noticed Pam's hoodie by one of the doors, so he entered the classroom. Rick faced 4 ladies who looked like Pam. Can you help him find the real Pam? There she is. She has neither books nor pens on her desk. 2 months later, Sam gave Rick a good recommendation. Rick applied for cooking school, and now he has to take some exams. Rick's current task is to cook a delicious soup. 3 pretty ladies are taking the same test with him. He liked them equally, but only one of them was trustworthy. Can you tell which one? Jenny has a bottle of poison in her spices collection. Fiona put push pins in her soup. It's very suspicious as well. Kelly didn't do anything wrong. She looks pretty reliable. After the soup test, Rick got a new task. He must tell which cupcake is in the very center of the tray. Can you help him? It's the pink one. Here's the next task. Which macaroon is in the very center? The purple one. Great job! What about this tray? Can you tell which cookie is in the very center? Ah, this one. Rick invited Kelly for dinner. It was their first date. He wanted to impress her and made dinner himself. He left all dishes in the kitchen and went upstairs to take a shower before Kelly's arrival. When Rick returned to the kitchen, he found that someone had eaten all the food. He questioned 3 suspects. Ruth said, "I'm on a diet. I don't eat after 5 p.m." Rick's dad said, "I've spent the entire evening outdoors removing dry leaves from the roof." Rick's brother Jeff said, "Bro, I've been training all day. The marathon is scheduled for tomorrow." Who's lying? Rick's dad. The roof is still covered with leaves, and Rick's dad is a pig. Kelly offered Rick to go for a picnic in the park. They found 3 cozy spots, but only one of them is safe. Can you tell which one? There's a cougar hiding in this tree. Not the safest company for the picnic. And there are snakes in the grass. So the guy should choose the second option. Dr. Roberts, one of the best surgeons in the country, came to his insurance company and said that he had been robbed right in the street. The assistant asked if Dr. Roberts remembered any specific details about the robber. The surgeon said that he couldn't recollect anything because the robber had been fast. Plus, since Dr. Roberts had extremely poor eyesight, he hadn't seen him clearly. The assistant refused to proceed and said that Dr. Roberts was lying and hadn't been robbed. Why didn't he believe Dr. Roberts? Dr. Roberts is a surgeon. Surgeons usually have excellent eyesight. So why did a highly paid surgeon need the insurance money? There was a grand ball organized in honor of Ms. Dell's birthday, and half of the town was invited. Suddenly, the lights in the entire building went off for a couple of minutes. When the lights came back on, Ms. Dell's beautiful diamond earrings were missing. The main suspect was her distant cousin, Sylvia. But the girl said that she had been in the bathroom fixing her makeup. She didn't even notice that the lights had gone out because she'd been busy. Who is lying, Ms. Dell or Sylvia? The lights went out in the entire building. If Sylvia had been fixing her makeup, she would have definitely noticed that something was wrong. Hey, it's dark in here. In a parallel universe, it's only allowed to have fun and eat candies. No one ever reads or studies. Mrs. Relham came back home after a long day at the club. Her 3 daughters had been staying at home. The woman asked them what they had been doing. Hannah said she'd gone shopping for a new board game and then spent the day playing it with her friends. Elle said that she had been partying with her classmates in the pool. Ava said that she had been binge-watching TV shows all day and eating ice cream. Mrs. Relham could tell that one of her daughters lied. Who was it? It was Hannah. Look, the board game she bought is unpacked. She couldn't be playing it. 4 friends were driving to New York City for the weekend. The music in the car was on and everyone was in a good mood, so the driver got distracted and got in a car crash. A police officer arrived and started an investigation. He asked the guys who had been driving, but no one wanted to take the blame. Then the officer inspected the car. Can you tell who was driving? Look, there's a purse hanging on the driver's seat. It must belong to a girl. There's just one girl in the group, so she's likely to be the driver. Mrs. Miller came back home after work and asked what her daughters had been doing all day. They were all grounded and weren't allowed to leave the house or watch TV. Kaylee said that she had been doing housework and had just finished cooking pizza for dinner. Ellery said that she had been upstairs in her room reading. Lilith said that she'd spent the day cleaning her room. Who's lying? It's Kaylee. She said that she had made this pizza herself, But why is there a pizza box in the garbage? She ordered the pizza and was probably doing something else instead. It was a cold fall day. Mr. Jones was at home drinking tea and reading his newspaper. He also peeked out of the window from time to time. There, 4 teens, Mark, Davin, Bexley, and Penny, were having a picnic. Suddenly, a ball broke the window of his living room. The teens started to pack their things. They didn't want to confess who had done this. In the evening, Mr. Jones got a note, but inside there was just a question mark. Do you know who broke the window? The question mark is a hint. It literally means question mark. So Mark must be the one who did it. Adele found her friend Oliver on the floor of his studio in the attic. She called the police. The officer who came asked the girl to tell him what had happened. Adele said that she had been walking past Oliver's house and noticed that the lights had been on. She came up to the window, peeked inside, and saw him on the floor. She called the police and ran into the house. The police didn't believe her. Do you? No, it doesn't sound right. The guy was in the attic. Adele couldn't possibly see him through the window, unless she was 20 feet tall. On Wednesday, a high school student, Layla, went missing. There are 3 suspects: Mrs. Adams, the director, Mrs. Smith, a school cook, and Mr. Jones, a cleaning man. Mrs. Adams said that she had a lot of work and spent the whole day in her office, never leaving it. Mrs. Smith said that after the working day, she had to stay in the kitchen to do some cleaning before the weekend. Mr. Jones said that he'd left after classes to do some shopping. He only returned several hours later. Who is guilty? There's something suspicious about Mrs. Smith, the cook. It's Wednesday, so what weekend cleaning is she talking about?
Happened on a dark night on a purple planet. A fluffy snake crawled into the house where a purple guy was sleeping. It bit him, and the purple guy decided to go to a hospital. He told the doctor everything. She looked at the guy attentively and told him the snake hadn't been venomous. How did she know that? It was 3:45 a.m. on the clock in the guy's room. Now it's 11:45 p.m. on the clock in the examination room. The purple guy has spent almost a day trying to get to the hospital. So far, nothing bad has happened to him, which means the snake was not poisonous. The king of a tiny planet has no heirs. But then, who will become the ruler of this world? To choose the best candidate, the king gives every inhabitant 1 seed. Whoever grows the most beautiful flower will get the planet, the king tells them. Come back in 2 months. 2 months later, everyone came back with beautiful flowers. Among hundreds of candidates, there was one girl with an empty pot, and her brother with the most beautiful flower. The king said they would rule the planet. Why them? All the seeds were fake, and the girl didn't want to deceive the king by replacing the seed. Meanwhile, her brother put a lot of effort into growing the most beautiful plant to achieve his goal. Rain falls upward in this world, cars move backward, broken glass repairs itself. Pens erase words from paper. Chickens hide back in the egg at the end of their life. So you get it, time runs backward here. But something is wrong in this world. What is it? Try to look beyond the picture you've just seen before answering. The correct answer is my voice. It's not reversed. Space monsters are chasing you inside an abandoned space station somewhere at the edge of a faraway galaxy. They're stretching their toothy tentacles towards you. Fortunately, you manage to jump into a rescue ship and get out of there. Suddenly, you realize that the ship has no brakes. There's an asteroid belt to your left. A small black hole is on the right, and a red star is in the middle. Which way should you choose? None of these. Don't forget that you can also fly up or down. You're in outer space. It's raining diamonds every day on this planet. The rays of the closest star that warms this world contain gold particles. Banknotes grow on trees. Seas glow green because the water is filled with emeralds. Despite all this wealth, people don't want to live here. Why? Gold particles in the air can damage human lungs within seconds. Money trees don't produce oxygen, and there are no fish in the water because of the emeralds. People simply can't exist there.
Hey, mystery fans! Get ready to activate your brain muscles and solve some pretty challenging mental puzzles. 4 girls, Lucy, Serena, Amy, and Kate, all claim to be mermaids who've taken on human form to walk along the shore. They're all gorgeous, but one of them is only pretending to be a mermaid. Who is it? It must be Lucy. She has leaves growing on her back, and it's a symbol of land, not sea. Real mermaids wouldn't have plant traits on them, as it would show they don't belong in the ocean. At a school reunion, 3 old friends, Cindy, Bob, and Michael, are bragging about how their lives have changed. Cindy says, "I married a millionaire and now live in the Maldives." Bob boasts, "I'm a pilot now, flying all over the world." Michael brags, "I became a developer and built my own app. Now I work for myself." But one of them is clearly lying. A small detail gives them away. Bob is lying. He claims to be a pilot, but he has a full beard. Commercial pilots must be clean-shaven because facial hair can prevent oxygen masks from sealing properly in emergencies. A train passenger, Miss Smith, reported that someone had stolen her suitcase. Police questioned 3 fellow travelers. Mr. Green said he was wearing headphones the whole time. Mrs. Chu claimed she was enjoying the landscape out the window the entire trip. Miss Jones said she was dozing off, but her suitcase was definitely next to her. But the officer noticed one important detail. Who's lying here? Mrs. Chu is lying. They were traveling at night and it was pitch dark outside. There was nothing to look at through the window. A seamstress has a 60-foot roll of fabric. Every day she cuts 10 feet off. On which day will she make the final cut? Rely not only on math, but also on logic for this one. She'll make the final cut on the 5th day because she only needs to make 5 cuts to divide the roll into 6 pieces of 10 feet each. You're in a room with 3 switches. All of them are currently off. Each switch corresponds to one of the 3 light bulbs in the next room. You're only allowed to enter the bulb room once. How can you figure out which switch controls which bulb? You gotta turn on the first switch and wait a few minutes. Then turn it off and quickly turn on the second switch. Now enter the room with the bulbs. The bulb that is on corresponds to the second switch. The bulb that is off but warm corresponds to the first switch. The bulb that is off and cold corresponds to the third switch. A grandmother, 2 mothers, and 2 daughters went for a walk in the park and decided to buy 1 ice cream cone for each of them, but they only bought 3 ice creams. How is that possible? Well, there are only 3 people. One is the grandmother. Let's say her name is Emma. Her daughter is Anne, and Anne's daughter is Stacy. Emma and Anne are the two mothers. Anne and Stacy are the two daughters, and Emma is the grandmother. That makes 3 people total, even though there are 1 grandmother, 2 mothers, and 2 daughters. A popular singer lives in a cool circular house with expensive works of art. One day, she notices the most expensive painting from her collection is missing. The police question all the suspects. The gardener says he was busy taking care of the flowers. The cook tells the police she was making a cake. The maid claims she was vacuuming the furniture and dusting the corners. Who's lying? The singer lives in a circular house. The maid couldn't be dusting corners, so she had something to hide. One woman crosses the state border every day on a bike with 2 huge bags. After a week, the border guards get interested in her. They search her luggage, but it turns out to be just old clothes. What is she smuggling across the border then? Well, she clearly isn't smuggling works of art or jewelry, but bikes. Someone pushed the actress who plays the leading role in a popular theater play down the stairs. Luckily, she survived, but she won't be able to perform. She calls the police, and they suspect it was one of the actresses who plays the supporting roles. Can you help them figure out who it was? The actress grabbed the person who pushed her and ripped off a part of their costume. This girl's costume is missing a piece, so it must have been her. The police got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of New York's museums. To stop it from happening, they need to figure out at least the month the heist is planned for. Try to help the police and figure it out using a secret code. In this rebus, the jar stands for J, the umbrella stands for U, the lion is for L, and the yellow heart stands for Y. The heist is planned for July. The paparazzi are after a supermodel who's trying to keep her personal life a secret. She even planted cacti all around her house so no one can approach. But one photographer still manages to get close and snap some photos. The model wants to sue them, but how can the police tell who did it? This guy on the left has scratches left by cacti all over his body. It must have been him. A luxurious hotel got an anonymous call. There's an imposter among the guests who plans to rob others staying at the hotel. If this happens, it will ruin the reputation of the entire hotel chain. You can save the hotel from going bankrupt if you figure out who the imposter is. All hotel guests have the same bracelet, and only this guy on the right doesn't have one. He must be the imposter. A group of friends is hiking and sleeping in a tent at night. When they wake up in the morning, they noticed someone has stolen all their food supplies that were outside. They are miles away from other people. Can you help them solve the mystery? See those footprints over there? Must have been a bear. So the best they can do is forget about the stolen food and find a safer place to camp. On the 1st of July, someone stole a really important document from the office of a successful company. The boss was away, so they only noticed it several days later and figured out when it happened from the CCTV camera footage. The main suspect, who was the head of the competing company, said she was on vacation and even showed a plane ticket. But the police didn't believe her. Why? The ticket is for June 31st, and that date simply doesn't exist. Jennifer was riding her bicycle when someone sitting at a coffee shop terrace threw a disposable cup with cold coffee inside right in her face. There were 3 girls inside at that moment, and she wanted to know who it was. Can you help her figure it out? This girl is wearing a bright purple lipstick, and it's the same color as the mark on the cup that she threw at Jennifer. Roxy was alone at her parents' house and ordered a big pizza. When the courier arrived, she got really scared and called the police. What made her do it? The delivery guy was from a sushi place. She decided he was trying to break into the house. Nancy went on vacation and left her laptop password for her colleagues. But she loves riddles a lot, so she didn't tell them exactly where to find it. It must be a 4-digit code. Will you help them figure it out? This postcard with dice on it isn't there for nothing. You need to write down all the numbers. Yes, it's 7235. How many riddles did you manage to solve without pausing the video? Let's talk about it in the comments section.